When you're venting below the roof sheathing, you cannot keep a continuous air barrier from the wall to the roof. You need a transition to an interior air barrier for that roof system. Hi, I'm Nick with 475. Today we're going to be looking at some section drawings and how some careful sequencing during the framing stage can really simplify this transition from an exterior air barrier on the wall to an interior air barrier on the roof. Let's dive in. We have a section drawing with this side being the interior and this side being the exterior. This is our stud wall framing with our top plate. You might have a double top plate. We have our wall sheathing, and that sheathing has been waterproofed with our exterior WRB that is also acting as our exterior air barrier. That'd be one of the Solitex Mento membranes, or the Adhero 1000, or the Adhero 3000. Before we set down our roof truss system or our roof rafters, we want to cover that top plate with a wide piece of Tescon Vanna tape. We want to have an exposed interior edge, and that exterior should overlap the WRB. So this is done during the framing stage. And then we can set down our truss system. There's a variety of different types of trusses. Could be rafters, but for all of them, it's the same principle. Before we set down this rafter system, we are covering those top plates with a wide piece of Tescon Vanna. So we're overlapping the Solitex Adhero or Solitex Mento membrane on the exterior, and then have this exposed interior edge that we'll tape to down the line. So then we can insulate our walls. This might be a batt insulation or a dense pack fibrous. You might have an exterior continuous board, whether that's a wood fiber board or a mineral wool board, that you then have your rain screen outboard of that, providing drainage and venting that holds your siding. This is a ventilated roof system. We are venting below that roof sheathing. That is why we cannot keep a continuous exterior air barrier to the roof. This vented channel is eliminating that opportunity, so we need to connect to an interior air barrier. So now that we've insulated, we can then install the Intello membrane. This is on the underside of the roof rafters or truss system. So it'd be the Intello Plus or the Intello X membrane. And then you use another piece of Tescon Vanna tape to tape to that existing piece that you installed previously. So now we've transitioned from our exterior air barrier over those top plates to a complete and continuous interior air barrier with the Intello Plus or the Intello X membrane. You can then do your roof insulation, whether that's a batt or blown in or loose fill on top of that Intello. The Intello is vapor variable, so we want it to stay on the interior side of that insulation. That is behind your drywall finish. And so you could install what we call a service cavity. These are strappings, typically 1x inboard of that Intello, and that's creating a chase between the Intello membrane and your drywall finish. This allows you to locate any can lights that might occur here or to run any wires. Another option to do without that service cavity is to install the Lesco box. So this is an airtight outlet box that we place, and we tape the edges, the flanges to that Intello membrane, and then pinch tape where the wires enter the top. Now this is creating an alcove for us to locate any can lights, and our wiring would run in this cavity above within that insulation. So we're transitioning from an exterior air barrier on that wall, using Tescon Vanna tape to cover those top plates. We're overlapping that exterior air barrier to transition that air barrier, and then on the interior side, we're taping to it with the Tescon Vanna tape So that way we're running the Intello Plus or the Intello X membrane on the interior side. We're doing this transition because we can't keep a continuous exterior air barrier for this roof system. So we need to transition to an interior. For retrofits, this can be a lot more complicated. It can be hard to access the top side of this top plate. So we're typically using Viscon, which is a fluid applied air barrier where we can spray or brush that on, and we're trying to overlap to that WRB on that wall, and then we can still tape to the interior side of that Viscon top plate with the Tescon Vanna tape to then run the Intello membrane inboard. Thanks for watching. As always, 475 is available to support your next high-performance project. For more info, there's links on the screen to other videos and to our smart enclosure assembly guides.